The room smelled like old paper and desperation. Lily Hart sat at the long oak table in her father's study, hands folded tightly in her lap to hide the trembling. Her mother stood near the window, pretending to look outside, but her eyes had gone glassy and distant, as if she were watching something that had already happened, something too shameful to face. Her brother, Simon, paced behind her, one hand tugging nervously at his collar. Only her father seemed composed. He was sitting across from her with a fountain pen poised above a thick packet of papers. His cufflinks gleamed, but the bags under his eyes told another story. No one was speaking. No one had told her who the man was, just that this would fix everything. Lily, her father finally said, his voice hollow, "You'll sign this, and after today, our debts, they'll be gone." She swallowed hard, the words heavy in her throat. Who am I being given to? Her mother flinched at the word given, but still didn't look at her. It doesn't matter. Her father replied, what matters is that this keeps your brother out of prison and us from losing the house. It matters to me, Lily whispered. Her father stared at her for a long time, then finally set the pen down. Damien Kane, he said. The name dropped like a lead weight in the silence. He made the offer. Full payment. Up front. The name echoed in her mind. Damien Kane. Everyone in America knew it. Ruthless, brilliant, untouchable, CEO of Kane Industries. A man whose empire stretched from Wall Street to Silicon Valley, leaving ruin wherever he stepped. Not out of malice, out of precision. He didn't make enemies, he crushed them. Swiftly, silently, without mercy. Lily's lips parted. Why would a man like that want someone like me? No one had an answer. Not her father, whose face had hardened into something distant. Not her brother, who couldn't meet her eyes. Not even her mother, who finally turned toward her with a face drained of color, mouth trembling, but offering no words. When she stood, her knees barely held her. She walked around the table slowly, stopped beside the chair where the papers waited, and reached for the pen. Her fingers hovered. What if I don't? She asked, her voice quiet but firm. Her father's reply was just as quiet. Then we all fall, Lily, we all fall. The pen touched the paper. Her signature was neat. The ink glided smoothly. It took 3 strokes to erase her freedom. When it was done, her father let out a breath, a sound like guilt wrapped in relief. No one hugged her. No one said thank you. A black car was waiting outside, engine already running. The driver, in a dark suit and sunglasses, didn't speak. He opened the door. Lily hesitated. The sky was a dull gray, the kind of color that didn't promise rain, only more silence. She stepped in. No one waved. No one looked back. As the car pulled away, the city blurred past, the weight of everything pressed into her chest. The dress she wore, light blue, soft cotton, felt like a costume, a lie. She wasn't a daughter anymore, or a sister, or a woman with choices. She was property. Destination unknown, but deep in her gut, she knew whatever waited for her at the other end of that highway wasn't freedom. It was Damien Kane, and nothing would ever be the same. The car drove endlessly through winding roads and long stretches of pine-shadowed silence, and still no one spoke. Lily sat motionless in the back seat, hands clenched in her lap, eyes fixed on the blur of trees. Outside, each turn felt like it was pulling her further from the world she once knew. No phone, no bag, no clue where she was being taken. Only the taste of metal in her mouth and the echo of her father's voice, Damien Kane. She had heard of him. Of course, everyone had. The man behind Kane Industries. A billionaire whose name could end careers and bend governments. Rumored to have built his empire on threats, secrets, and buried skeletons. The press called him the ghost behind the glass. Elusive, untouchable, terrifying. But what did a man like that want with her? The driver finally slowed as they reached a steep iron gate that opened without a word. It was motion activated, Lily realized. Not because they were expected, but because they were always being watched. The estate appeared, slowly, like a beast, rising from the forest floor, a mansion of dark stone, carved into the side of a mountain, framed by heavy mist and towering evergreens, Gothic arches, black glass windows. Statues with blank faces stared from the courtyard like they knew her. Fate, The car stopped. The driver stepped out and opened her door. "Miss Hart," he said without looking at her. Lily's legs didn't want to move, but she stepped out anyway, the cold air slicing through her thin dress like blades. No one greeted her. No one helped with bags she didn't have. She was escorted into the mansion like a prisoner being delivered to judgment. Inside, the world was darker still. The foyer was massive, cold, all gray marble and iron staircases that curved like serpents toward the upper levels. Oil paintings stared down at her, none of them familiar. No family portraits, no warmth. A woman appeared from the shadows, tall, severe, silver bun, lips pressed tight as if politeness was exhausting. "I'm Celeste," she said. "Head of staff." Lily opened her mouth, but the woman turned without waiting and began walking. "Mr. Kane is occupied. You'll see him at dinner." They moved through long corridors with high ceilings and silent floors. The house swallowed sound. Every echo of their steps vanished before it could reach the walls. The windows were narrow, the doors thick. Not a home, not even a fortress, a cage. The room Lily was given could have been beautiful. Massive windows, silk sheets, polished wood, and a closet already filled with designer clothes that somehow still felt impersonal. Expensive prison bars. She stood by the window, breathing slowly, trying to steady the war inside her chest. Then came the knock, but it wasn't a servant. It was him, Damien Kane. He stepped into the room without permission, tall, sharp, dressed in all black. His face was unreadable, carved from stone. His eyes, even colder. "I wanted to see what they sent me," he said simply, as if she were furniture. Lily turned, spine straight. "You bought a person, not a product." His lips curved slightly. "Something." "That wasn't a smile, and yet here you are, standing in my house, wearing my air." His voice was deep, smooth, not angry, not mocking, but heavy with something darker, like he was trying to feel nothing and almost succeeding. She clenched her jaw. "What do you want from me?" He stepped forward once, slowly. "Your name, your silence, your obedience. You're not going to get all three." The air between them sparked. He studied her, eyes flicking over her face, not with lust, but calculation, like a man analyzing a puzzle missing its final piece. She expected him to yell, to threaten. Instead, he leaned close enough for her to feel the ice in his breath. "You look just like her." Lily froze. "Like who?" He stepped back, but didn't answer. Then he turned to leave. But just before he reached the door, he paused. "You'll have dinner with me, sharp at 7. Wear red." And then he disappeared into the corridor, like a ghost that had never really been there at all. The silence he left behind felt louder than his presence. Lily looked at the clock. For hours until dinner. For hours until she had to sit across the table from a man who bought her like a pawn, but stared at her like a ghost. And still she didn't know if she'd been brought here as a wife, a weapon, or something far more dangerous, a memory. The red dress hung in the closet like it had been waiting for her, long before she ever stepped foot in that house. It was the only splash of color in the entire room. Crimson silk, sleeveless, delicate yet bold. The kind of fabric that kissed the skin and screamed attention. Lily didn't want to wear it, didn't want to give Damien Kane the satisfaction of knowing. She followed his orders, but when she opened the rest of the closet, she saw every other dress was black, a silent command. So she wore the red dot as the clock struck 7. She stood in front of the tall mirror, barefoot, her pulse whispering just beneath her skin. She didn't feel beautiful. She felt exposed, like the dress was another contract, another boundary she hadn't agreed to, but was already obeying. When she stepped into the corridor, two staff members were already waiting. They said nothing, only nodded and walked ahead of her, their posture straight, movements robotic, as if they, too, had forgotten what freedom felt like. The dining hall was twice the size of her family's house. At the far end, under a chandelier of hanging crystal, Damien sat alone at a table long enough for 20. A fire crackled in the marble hearth behind him, but the warmth never reached his eyes. He didn't rise when she entered, didn't offer a greeting, just watch her walk, every step like a test. She stopped a few feet from him. "You said wear red," she said calmly, "and you listened." He replied, eyes glinting. I didn't do it for you. Then who? He asked. The staff, the ghost in the mirror. She stared back without blinking. Myself. A small pause, not approval, but something flickered behind his eyes. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit, she did, not because he said it, but because standing felt like surrendering to the tension that wrapped around the room like a rope. A servant brought food, perfectly plated, untouched by time or heat. Lily didn't move, neither did he. Eat, he said. I'm not hungry. Damien set his fork down slowly, leaned back in his chair. You haven't eaten since you arrived. Maybe I'm not used to eating in front of men who think they own me. The words weren't loud, but they struck. Damien's gaze darkened, but not with anger, with something worse, curiosity. You think I want to own you? He asked, don't you? He tilted his head slightly. I want control, not ownership. There's a difference, only for the one holding the leash. He studied her then, like she was something he hadn't expected. A spark where he had predicted ash. You've got a sharp tongue, he said. You bought me. She whispered. Did you think I'd come quiet? Silence. The candles flickered. The fire popped. And between them stretched a distance that no table could measure. Finally, Damien stood. Come with me. Lily didn't move. If I say no. He smirked. Then, I'll walk away. But you'll wonder all night what you were supposed to see. Curiosity burned hotter than fear. So she followed. Through silent hallways, past locked doors and shadowed rooms. He led her down a narrow stairwell to a floor the staff clearly didn't frequent. The walls changed here. Less polished, more raw, the air colder. He opened a door. Inside was a room filled with photographs. Hundreds, maybe thousands, pinned on the walls, scattered on the floor, stacked in boxes. All of one woman, same face, different places, laughing, crying, dancing, running. Her name was Evelyn. He said. Lily stared at the pictures. Her throat went dry. Your wife. He nodded. She turned slowly. I look like her. No, he said, stepping behind her. You don't look like her. He paused. You move like her. A chill ran down her spine. She died. Lily asked. She was taken, he said quietly, and I never got her back. And you think what? I'm a replacement? He turned away. You're a reminder. Lily's voice broke slightly. So you brought me here to haunt yourself? He didn't answer, just looked at a photo near the window. A photo where Evelyn was smiling, and behind her stood Lily's father. Laughing. Holding a champagne glass. Like he belonged there. Lily's world cracked. Why is my father in this photo? Damien looked over his shoulder. And for the first time, his voice wasn't cruel. It wasn't cold. It was raw. Because he's the reason she's dead. The floor vanished beneath her, and the real reason she was sold finally began to surface. The world didn't fall apart with an explosion. It fractured with a photograph. Lily couldn't breathe. The picture was old, grainy, but clear enough. Her father was in it, smiling, holding a champagne glass, standing next to a woman who looked like sunlight had taken form. Evelyn, Damien's wife, the woman he lost. The woman she was brought here to replace. What happened to her? Lily asked, barely recognizing her own voice. Damien didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to the wall, picked up another photo, and stared at it like it might burn a hole through his skin. She died in a car crash, he said finally. But it wasn't an accident. Lily's hands clenched at her sides. My father, what did he have to do with it? Damien turned, and for a moment, he wasn't the feared billionaire anymore. He was just a man standing in front of a ruin no one else could see. He was the one who made the deal, the one who put Evelyn in that car. Your father ran security for a man named Alden Vela, snake wrapped in diamonds. Evelyn had something he wanted to bury, and your father made her disappear. Lily shook her head. No, you're wrong. Damien stepped closer. He took payment. He chose his silence. And when I found out, I swore to destroy him piece by piece. So you bought me, she snapped. As what? Interest on the debt. As leverage, he said. As punishment. I wanted him to know what it feels like to lose something pure, something good. Lily's throat burned. I'm not a message, Damien. I'm a person. He stared at her, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. You think I don't know that? You think I expected you to fight back, to stare me in the eye like I didn't terrify you? You don't terrify me, she whispered. You just disappoint me. That cut deeper than any insult. She turned to leave, but Damien blocked the door with one hand against the frame. Don't walk away from this, he said. Voice low. From what? A mansion built on ghosts. A man so broken he kidnaps echoes of the woman he lost. Her eyes burned now, not with fear but fury. You didn't just destroy my father, Damien. You dragged me into a grave I never dug. He didn't stop her this time, didn't chase. Just watched as she stormed out, heels striking the cold floor like thunder. The night fell like a warning. Thunder rolled over the mountains. Lightning cracked behind the glass. The storm outside was wild, but the one inside Lily burned hotter. She didn't cry. Not yet. She sat by the fireplace in her suite, wrapped in silence, staring at the flickering flames like they could rewrite her bloodline. Outside her window, wind howled through the pine trees. The house groaned with age. Even the shadows seemed to lean closer. She didn't sleep. When the knock came, it was soft, hesitant. She didn't answer, but the door creaked open anyway. Damien stood there. No suit, no mask, just a man in a black t-shirt and loose pants, his eyes rimmed with exhaustion. I shouldn't have told you like that, he said. She looked up. You shouldn't have told me at all. If it wasn't to seek justice, what was the point? To hurt me? Damien stepped inside slowly, like the air itself didn't want him there. I brought you here for revenge. That's the truth. But something changed. What changed? Her voice cracked. You. He sat across from her. Not too close, not like before. You look nothing like her, he said, but you breathe like her. When you're angry, you don't scream, you burn. She used to do that too. Lily looked away. I'm not her, I know, he whispered, and I don't want you to be. She closed her eyes. Then why do I feel like I'm wearing her skin? He stood then, walked to the door, paused. Because I was too broken to see who you really were. He left her with that dot, and in the silence that followed, Lily's tears finally fell quiet, angry, full of grief, not for him, but for the version of herself she'd lost trying to survive someone else's war. But something else moved in her that night. To resolve. She was no longer just someone's daughter. No longer someone's leverage. And she sure as hell wasn't anyone's ghost. The girl they sold was gone. And the woman rising from the ashes was about to change everything. Rain came in sheets the next morning, drumming against the mansion's windows like a warning too late to heed. Lily stood by the glass, barefoot, wrapped in a long sweater that wasn't hers. It had been folded neatly outside her door. No note, no name, but she knew who had left it. She could still smell the faint trace of smoke and cedar in the fabric. Damien Kane. She hadn't seen him since last night. Since he said you changed and walked away like a man fleeing a fire. He himself had lit, but the fire hadn't gone out. It was inside her now, burning in the pit of her stomach, in the words she hadn't said yet, in the hollow ache of knowing she'd been sold for someone else's sins, and then turned into someone else's salvation. A soft knock pulled her from her thoughts. This time, it wasn't Damien. It was Celeste, the stone-faced housekeeper. You're needed in the West Wing, she said. For what? Mr. Kane asked for you personally. Lily hesitated. Why? Celeste's expression cracked, just barely. He didn't say. But it's urgent. The West Wing was different. The floors creaked. The paintings were older, covered in faint dust like no one had dared to clean them. Lily followed the corridor until she reached a door unlike the others, oak, reinforced, and covered in scratches that looked almost human. She knocked once. No answer. She opened it anyway. The room inside looked nothing like the rest of the mansion. It was dim, filled with paper, chalkboards, digital screens showing market trends, surveillance feeds, lists of names. A war room. And Damien stood in the center of it all, hands on a table covered in redacted documents. He didn't look up. You came, you asked. He looked up then, and something in his eyes chilled her. Not anger, not control. Fear. I need you to see something. He tapped a key on the laptop. A video feed popped up. Security footage from 3 nights ago. Grainy black and white. A man in a raincoat entering the East Garden. bypassing security, heading straight for Lily's suite. The man was carrying a knife. He didn't make it past the motion sensors, Damien said. But this wasn't random. Lily stepped back. You think, they're coming after me now, not you. Me. Damien replied. But they'll use you to do it. Who are they? He took a breath, then handed her a file. Inside, photos of powerful men, politicians, tech giants, and one name she'd seen only once before. Alden Vale. The same man Damien said her father worked for. The man behind Evelyn's death. They think you're the key to getting to me, he said. And I've been too busy hating your father to see what was coming. She stared at the images. Her pulse roared in her ears. What do we do? He stepped closer. Not as a puppet master, but as a man without a plan. We stop pretending, he said. Pretending what? That this is just about revenge, or ghosts, or control. His voice was raw. You're in this now, Lily, not because I bought you, but because you matter. Her breath caught. You want to protect me? She asked. He nodded. For once in my life, yes. She shook her head. Then stop putting me in cages. Stop keeping me in the dark. His jaw clenched. And then he did something she didn't expect. He handed her a key. What's this? It unlocks the south wing. It was Evelyn's. I haven't opened it since she died. But you should see it. The south wing smelled like memory. Dust, lavender, old books, and forgotten laughter. The storm came back that night. Not the kind that danced through trees or pelted windows with rain, but the kind that started deep inside a person and shattered everything they thought they knew. Lily didn't sleep, not after the letter, not after Evelyn's handwriting told her to remind him of who he used to be, not after she saw the look in Damien's eyes, that flicker of fear, of truth, of something finally breaking open. She paced the length of her suite, the letter still folded in her palm like it might vanish if she let go. Thunder rumbled in the distance, but the real storm was brewing inside that house. Then, just past midnight, she heard it, the sound of glass shattering, not near her room but somewhere deeper in the mansion. She slipped into the hallway barefoot, heart thudding hard against her ribs. The lights flickered. Shadows danced like they were waiting for something to unfold. Then she heard it again. Voices, two of them, male, low, tense. She followed the sound, careful not to make noise. It led her to the east hallway, to Damien's study. The door was slightly ajar. She pressed closer. She's not safe here, a man said. Voice sharp, unfamiliar. Damien's reply came like a blade. She's safer with me than anywhere else. You brought her into this. You made her a target. You think Vale will stop with threats? I'll deal with Vale. He already knows. Damien. He knows she has the south wing key. He knows about the room. Lily's breath caught. The room, Evelyn's room. The letter. You should have burned that place years ago. The man snapped. But you couldn't, because you never let her go. And now Lily, don't say her name. The silence that followed was deadly. You're into deep, the man said finally. You brought a ghost back into a house built on silence. What happens when she finds everything? Lily didn't wait to hear more. She turned and ran. Not back to her room, to the south wing. The door clicked softly behind her. She didn't turn on the lights. She didn't need to. She knew what she was looking for. The letters were one thing, but now she wanted the truth. All of it. She began searching drawers, boxes, shelves. There were so many layers of Evelyn in this space, perfume still lingering, sweaters still folded like she might return. And then beneath a loose floorboard she found it. A recording, an old cassette, tape with Damien's initials scribbled on the label. There was an old player beside the bed. She clicked the tape in and pressed play. The static gave way to a voice, not Evelyn's, Damien's. Younger, softer, more alive. I don't know how to protect you anymore. If something happens to you, if this tape is all that's left, no. This I tried. I failed, and I will never forgive myself. Then Evelyn's voice broke in shaky, whispering, recorded in the dark. If anyone hears this, Alden Vale is behind it all. He's trying to wipe the slate clean. If I die, it's because I got too close to the truth. Please, Damien, let someone love you again. Not through pain, through peace. The tape clicked. Off. Lily sat still. Vale killed her, and Damien had known, had carried it. had drowned in it. And now, she was in the middle of the same web. When she returned to her room, the lights were out, but someone was already there, sitting in the dark. "Damien, you listened to it," he said without turning. "Yes, then you know." She stepped closer. "Why didn't you give it to the police?" His voice cracked. "Because no one touches Vale. He buys silence, buries it. The minute I tried, everything Evelyn built would have burned, including her reputation." She sat beside him on the floor. "You're not just punishing my father," she whispered. "You're punishing yourself." Damien didn't speak. His head fell into his hands. "I brought you here to make him suffer," he said finally. "But all I did was make myself remember every room you walk into. I see her, and yet, you're not her, you're you. And that's the part that terrifies me the most." "Why?" He looked at her, raw, unmasked. "Because I care, and I haven't cared in a decade." They stared at each other for what felt like hours. "Then let me in," she said. "You already are." His hand reached for hers, not as a command, not as ownership, as a man afraid to hope. And for the first time Lily didn't pull away. Because maybe this storm wasn't meant to break them. Maybe it was meant to wash everything clean. The next morning arrived in silence, heavy and watchful, as if the mansion itself had paused to see what would happen next. Sunlight tried to push through the tall windows, but it only illuminated the dust, the kind of dust that lives in forgotten corners of lives never fully lived. Lily sat at the edge of her bed, still wearing yesterday's clothes, yesterday's weight, yesterday's truth. She'd listened to a dead woman's last words. She'd held a letter meant for the future. And now she held the heart of a man who'd built walls so high. He forgot what it meant to feel anything at all. Damien had told her the truth. But it came wrapped in pain so old it didn't bleed anymore, it just lingered like smoke that refused to clear. The knock on her door was soft. She didn't move. "Lily," his voice. Not cold, not commanding. Just, "Damien, come in." He opened the door slowly, like he wasn't sure what version of her he'd find. She stood up. "I need to see him." Damien's eyes narrowed. "See who?" "Alden Vale." He stepped inside, shutting the door behind him. "No, you said I was in this now." "Well, I am. And I'm not going to sit in this house and wait for the past to kill me like it killed Evelyn. It won't come to that." "Then let me help you end it." He walked toward her, slow and quiet. "Do you have any idea what kind of man he is?" "No, but I know what kind of woman I've become." He looked at her then, really looked, and saw it. This wasn't the girl who'd arrived with trembling hands and soft apologies. This was someone new. This was the woman the war had built. "He's hosting a gala," Damien said finally. "Tonight's from now, the one place he lets the world pretend he's human. Take me. He'll recognize you." "Good," she whispered. "Let him." The 2 nights leading up to the gala passed in a blur of silence and steel. Damien trained her in things no woman should ever have to learn. Where to hide a panic button in a gown. How to listen to a room without looking like you're listening. How to recognize the difference between fake power and real threat. "His right-hand man is named Crosby," Damien said. "He watches everything. You'll know him by the scar under his ear. Never smile at him, got it? And whatever you do, if Vale gets close, don't show fear. He feeds on it." The last lesson was unspoken. How to hide the part of you that shakes when the lights go out. The gala was held in a marble cathedral in the heart of the city. Chandeliers like frozen waterfalls hung from the ceiling. The air smelled like champagne and secrets. Every man wore power like armor. Every woman wore danger like perfume. Lily stepped out of the black car, wrapped in a floor-length midnight dress that shimmered with every breath she took. Hair pinned, eyes lined, heart steeled. She held Damien's arm, but not like a doll on display. Like an equal walking beside the storm that made her. Vale stood at the center of it all. Silver hair, razor smile, the kind of man who looked like a photograph no one dared burn. He turned and froze. Lily saw it happen. His eyes locked on her. Just for a second, just enough. He knew, and yet, he smiled. As if this was all part of the game. "Damien," Vale said, lifting his glass. "I almost thought you wouldn't come." "Well, you do throw such charming funerals," Damien replied. Vale laughed. "And who's this lovely creature?" Lily didn't flinch. "Lily Hart," she said, offering her hand. Vale took it, eyes never leaving hers. "Any relation to Howard Hart?" Lily smiled sweetly. "Unfortunately, yes." Something shifted behind Vale's eyes. Just for a moment, then it was gone. "You're braver than you look, and you're older than you pretend," she replied, Damien's grip on. Her hand tightened just slightly. The music swelled. Cameras flashed. The room spun like a beautiful lie. But beneath the laughter, beneath the gold and glass, Lily felt it. The war had begun. Not with gunshots, not with screams, but with a handshake, and a smile, and the quiet decision to never run again. The party glittered like poison in a crystal glass. Lily moved through the crowd like she was born to it, her smile soft, her posture perfect, her eyes never still. But inside, she was a storm waiting to break. This was not a room filled with people. This was a den of predators dressed in silk and silk-tongued diplomacy. And at the center of it stood Alden Vale. He laughed easily, drank like royalty, and greeted politicians and magnates like pawns that hadn't yet realized they were on the wrong side of the board. But he kept watching Lily. Always watching. Damien stayed close, never more than a few feet away, but the distance was deliberate. Lily had insisted this part had to be hers. If Vale was going to bite, it had to be her blood in the water. At 10:17 p.m., the music slowed. Couples paired off for a dance, and that's when Alden Vale approached. He didn't ask. He simply extended his hand. Lily's pulse spiked, but her expression didn't waver. "You don't seem like the dancing type," she said coolly. "You'd be surprised what I enjoy," he replied. She let him lead her onto the dance floor. His touch was light, practiced, but beneath it, power. The kind that had crushed reputations, erased witnesses, and rewritten history. "You look just like her," he murmured. Lily blinked. "Like who?" "Evelyn. I remember her. Too smart for her own good, too curious." "Curiosity isn't a crime," she said. "Depends who you ask." He twirled her gently. She left quite the mess behind. And now here you are, walking through the wreckage like it belongs to you. "Maybe it does." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Careful, Miss Hart. You're playing a dangerous game. Do you know how many people have vanished for less than a look like that?" Lily leaned in, lips near his ear. "Do you know how many people have died for thinking I'd go quietly?" He froze. Just a flicker, but enough. The music ended. He let go and smiled again. "You should meet me for tea," he said. "My private estate. Tomorrow. I find conversations are better when they're less public." He walked away before she could answer. Damien was at her side in an instant. "I saw he wants to meet. Privately." "Absolutely not. Damien, we need this. He's testing you, baiting you." "Then let him. He thinks I'm weak. That's our advantage. He's not going to hand you evidence over scones and tea, no. But he might slip." The next afternoon, Lily arrived at Vale's private estate alone. No Damien. No backup. Just her. The estate was modern, cold, glass and stone and silence. She was ushered to a courtyard where Vale waited, sipping from a white porcelain cup, Earl Grey. He offered. "Truth, if you have it," she replied. He smiled, motioning for her to sit. "You're bold. I like that. You liked Evelyn too. I admired her. But admiration can be inconvenient. Did you kill her?" He blinked. "My dear girl, if I had, would I tell you?" "You didn't answer." He set his cup down. "You're not afraid of me." "I'm terrified," she said honestly. "But I'm here anyway." Vale leaned back. "What is it you want?" "Closure, revenge, justice. There's no such thing. There's only power. And how much of it you're willing to sacrifice to keep breathing." She stood. "Then let's stop pretending this is about tea." "What's it about then?" She stared at him. "You killed Evelyn. You tried to kill me. And you used my father to do it." He chuckled. "Your father, that coward, always hungry, never full, easy to buy, even easier to discard. You're not untouchable. You think Damien's going to save you." His voice sharpened. "He's already dying with her. One ghost at a time. He's not the one who'll end you. And who will? You." "No," she whispered. "The truth." She pulled something from her bag of flash drive. "You were sloppy. Evelyn recorded everything. And now I have it. His smile cracked. You're bluffing, am I? She turned and walked away, and didn't look back. That night, Lily met Damien at the edge of the estate. He stepped from the shadows, eyes burning. What did you do? She handed him the drive. What you couldn't. You're insane. I'm alive. Damien stared at the flash drive like it might explode. This could bring down his entire network. Then let's light the match, because sometimes the only way to end a monster is to become the storm that no cage can hold. The air that night tasted like revolution, not the kind made of flags and speeches but of whispered truths, stolen files, and to broken people daring to challenge a machine built on blood and silence. Lily didn't sleep. She couldn't. Not with the flash drive burning in her hands like a matchstick that could set the world ablaze. In that tiny silver object was the story of a woman who died screaming into a void, a woman whose voice had been buried by men like Alden Vale. And now her voice was back, ready to burn. They didn't go to the police. The police were Vale's. They didn't go to the media. The media bent at his knee. They went to someone else. Someone Damien had once trusted. A name Lily had never heard until tonight. Ada McKee, Damien said, pacing across the firelit den. Former investigative reporter. Got too close to one of Vale's arms dealers 5 years ago. Nearly died in a car crash that wasn't an accident. She disappeared after that. And you think she'll help? She's the only one who won't sell the story. She'll bleed for it. Where is she? He looked at her grimly. You're not going to like it. Ada lived in a rusted train car deep in the Mojave Desert, guarded by 3 rescued pit bulls and a shotgun that peeked from behind a curtain. She didn't flinch when she opened the door and saw Damien. Never thought I'd see your face again, Kane. I need a favor. Hell no. It's about Evelyn. Ada paused. She's been dead 10 years. She left something behind. Ada's jaw clenched. Get in. The recording played in the dark. Only the flicker of a dying candle, casting light across the stained metal walls. Evelyn's voice filled the space. First shaky, then steady, then devastating. Vale's operations, blackmail, the names, the ledger. A system so wide and tangled that even Damien looked shaken hearing it again. When it ended, Ada said nothing for a long time. Then she stood up and walked to a hidden panel beneath her sink. She pulled out an old hard drive, dusty and cracked but still working. He thought he erased me, she muttered. But I've been watching him from out here, waiting. Can you help us bring him down? Lily asked. No, Ada said. We can. They began that night. A plan drawn. In silence, blood, and fire. First, the names from the ledger were mapped. Then the offshore accounts. Then the dirty judges, the fake charities, the politicians laundering power through Vale's shell companies. It was worse than anyone imagined. This is war, Damien said. No, Lily whispered. This is Evelyn's voice rising from the grave. Meanwhile, Vale was tightening his noose. He knew something had shifted. His private guards doubled. He started burning documents. People close to him began disappearing. Crosby, his right-hand man, was found in a hotel bathroom with a single bullet to the heart and the word traitor carved into the mirror. But the message wasn't for him. It was for Damien. And Lily. On the third night, they received the message, a box, delivered by a silent courier. No return address. Inside, a single torn photograph of Lily, her as a child, sitting on her father's lap. And a note, blood always comes back to claim its price. Damien's hands shook. He knows. He always knew, Lily said. But now he's afraid. He won't come at you directly. He'll come at my family, she whispered. Where's your mother? Safe, under another name. We moved her years ago. And your father, gone. Disappeared 2 years ago, after he found out what Vale really wanted. I don't know where he is. We have to find him, Damien said, before Vale does. Ada tracked down the last trace of Howard Hart. He was hiding in a coastal town in Maine under the alias Ray Halberg, running a broken-down bookshop. No one ever visited. Lily and Damien flew out at dawn. He didn't recognize her at first. Then he saw her eyes. Lily? Hello, Dad. His face crumbled. He hadn't aged gracefully. Guilt had etched every year deeper than it should have. His hands trembled as he reached for her, but she didn't step forward. "I'm not here for forgiveness." He looked past her and froze. "You." Damien stared at him with fire. "You sold your daughter. You handed her over like payment for a debt." Howard dropped his eyes. "I thought I was protecting her." "You weren't," Lily said. "But you can now." She pulled the flash drive from her bag. "Vale's empire is falling. We need your help to finish it." Howard sat down, suddenly decades older. "I have one more thing, something Evelyn gave me before she died. I didn't understand it then." He reached under the counter and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside a master key. She said if anything ever happened to her, this would get into Vale's temple. A place he keeps hidden, where he really keeps the rot. Damien's voice dropped. "The vault. What's in it?" Lily asked. "Everything he ever blackmailed anyone with." Damien said, "Files, footage, proof, the kind of truth that doesn't just end careers, it topples nations." Lily closed the box. "Then that's where we go next, because monsters don't just fall. They're dragged into the light by the people they thought would never rise." And Damien Kane. He wasn't feared because of the wars he won. He was feared because of the war he hadn't unleashed yet. Until now. The wind in Washington that night felt wrong. It wasn't the kind of wrong you could see. It was the kind that sat in your bones like a warning. Something was coming. Something final. Lily stood beside Damien at the edge of Alden Vale's private estate, staring at the ground-level garden built like Eden, pristine roses, trimmed hedges, stone walkways etched with quotes from philosophers who never knew the kind of monsters that wore tuxedos and power like skin. Beneath it, hidden by design, was the vault. Not a vault of money. A vault of leverage. Blackmail tapes, names, passwords, threats, confessions. The core of Vale's empire. And if they reached it, if they cracked it open, they could take everything. They had the key. They had the plan. And they had a deadline. Because at midnight, Vale was flying out of the country, disappearing into one of his offshore identities. If he got away, there would be no catching him again. The security was brutal. Motion sensors, biometric scanners, pressure plates in the floor. But Damien had designed some of it once before he walked away from that world, and Ada had hacked the rest. "You've got 12 minutes inside," she said through the earpiece. "After that, they'll know, even if you're ghosts." "We don't need 12, Damien replied. "We only need 10. The garden gate clicked shut behind them. Lily and Damien moved in silence, dressed in black, faces calm but hearts screaming. Beneath a statue of a weeping angel, Damien knelt and turned a false stone, revealing a scanner. He pressed the master key into the port. A click. Then silence. And then, slowly, the ground split open. Stairs spiraled downward into black. As they descended, Lily's breath caught. The walls were lined with old photographs, some of politicians, some of generals, some of Damien himself. This wasn't just leverage. This was a museum of control, a history of what Vale had destroyed and what he owned. At the end of the corridor, the vault door stood waiting. Massive, cold, silent. Damien keyed in a 6-digit code. Lily added Evelyn's initials. The vault hissed. And opened. What they found inside would haunt them forever. Rows of shelves, boxes, hard drives, tapes, screens on one wall blinking through camera feeds from rooms no one was supposed to see. Judges in their chambers, senators in hotel rooms, corporate heads whispering deals into secure phones. "My God," Lily breathed. He recorded everything. "This isn't power," Damien said. "This is blackmail turned into religion." He moved to a desk and pulled out a folder labeled Project E. Inside was a letter. Evelyn's final entry. "If you're reading this, I didn't make it. And if you're reading this with Lily, then I was right. The world doesn't need another tyrant. It needs someone brave enough to pull the curtain back. Destroy it all. Don't keep a piece. Not even for justice. Burn it all. Start clean." Lily looked up. "We have enough here to end him. We have enough to end a dozen of him. Then let's do it." Damien opened his bag and pulled out a device, a virus chip, set to upload every file to multiple journalists, governments, and encrypted public drives. They inserted the chip into the core. Ada's voice came through. "Uploading. 90 seconds, Lily." stared at the footage of her father on one screen, his recorded conversation with Vale years ago. "I'll give you my daughter," he'd said. "Just leave me with enough to vanish." She turned away. "He's still her father," Damien said softly, "but he's no longer mine." 60 seconds, Ada said. Then everything went wrong. A power surge. Alarms. Lights. And then a voice, smooth, cruel, amused. "I must admit," Alden Vale said over the intercom, "I didn't think you had it in you, Damien, or you, Miss Hart." They turned toward the vault entrance. Vale stood there, calm as ever, flanked by 2 guards with silencers drawn. "You always had a flair for the dramatic," he said. "But this, digging through my legacy like grave robbers. You murdered Evelyn," Damien growled. "She killed herself chasing ghosts. You destroyed lives. I built empires. And you were supposed to inherit it, Damien. I'd rather drown." Vale looked at Lily. "And you, such fire in you. Your mother had it too, until your father broke her." Lily stepped forward. "You think you're still in control, but you're not. No, you're late." 30 seconds, Ada's voice said through the earpiece. Vale's eyes darkened. He lunged for the server cord. Damien tackled him. The guards moved, but Lily was faster. She threw a flashbang from her coat, courtesy of Ada. Blinding light. Deafening sound. Damien wrestled Vale to the floor. 5 seconds, Ada shouted. Lily screamed. "Damien, now." He hit the final switch. The upload completed. A siren rang out. Not from Vale's system, but from Ada's end. "It's out," she breathed. "The whole world has it now." Vale went still. Utterly still. His empire had just collapsed. Not with a bang. But with a woman's whisper and a ghost's last letter. In the days that followed, the world changed. Vale was arrested by international courts. 27 officials stepped down. Protests erupted. Dark money trails surfaced like bones long buried. But Lily disappeared. No press. No cameras. Just freedom. Damien found her months later, on a beach in Portugal, painting. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said without looking up. "I wasn't sure I'd be forgiven. You weren't the one I needed to forgive." He sat beside her. "What now?" he asked. She looked at the waves. "We start again. Clean, like Evelyn wanted." He nodded. And for the first time in years, Damien Kane smiled. Not the cold one, the real one. Because the storm was finally over. And somehow, against every rule, every deal, every fear, they had both survived it, together.